listening to Julia's Truckit Cafe Trucking News Hour. Hello, and welcome to Julia's Truckit Cafe Trucking News Hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here and that you want to listen to the trucking news. As always, I have lots of news to get to, so let's get right to it. And to start our news off, $35 million worth of meth seized from a truck hauling strawberry puree. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, recently seized a quote-unquote mammoth amount of illegal drugs at a Texas border crossing. The drug seizure occurred on April 12th at the World Trade Bridge in Laredo. The CBP referred the tractor trailer arriving from Mexico hauling a shipment of strawberry puree for a secondary inspection. With the help of non-intrusive inspection equipment, mainly x-rays, officers discovered 158 packages containing a total of nearly 1,761 pounds of alleged methamphetamine concealed within the shipment. Officials say that the street value of the seized drugs is worth $35.2 million. They seized the drugs. The case remains under investigation by Homeland Security. Quote, this mammoth seizure of methamphetamine underscores the reality of the drug threat we face at the port of entry and the determination of our frontline officers to apply the latest inspection technology coupled with officer experience to keep our borders safe, said the port director. And in this next story, a man was arrested for throwing everything they could find off the bridge at semis. Police in South Carolina arrested a suspect for throwing objects off of an overpass at passing vehicles. This happened April 25th. Chester County Sheriff's Office received 8 calls about objects that were being thrown from an overpass at vehicles traveling on I-77 near mile marker 52. According to the fire rescue of Richburg, who responded to the incident and stated, this is a disturbing and dangerous situation. At 5 in the morning, Rescue 840, Command 801, and EMS 3 responded to assist Rossville Fire Department with a call for a subject with glass in his eyes on I-77 at the 52-mile marker. Someone had been throwing everything they could find off of the bridge at semis as they passed underneath it. This particular driver had a piece of concrete block hit him right at his face. This could have seriously injured or even killed someone. The sheriff's office was speaking with the victims. Officers received word that the South Carolina Highway Patrol had contacted 2 individuals possibly connected to throwing these objects in this incident. One of the individuals, Nicholas Alston James, 26, of York, South Carolina, admitted to police they had thrown objects off of the overpass. They think it's funny. James was placed under arrest and is facing 2 charges of malicious injury to property over $2,000 and 3 charges of malicious injury to property under $2,000. What are you going to do about it's not little kids doing it anymore? It's young damn adults. And in this next story, a blowover leads to a fatal ejection of a driver. This happened April 23rd in Oldham County, Texas. According to San Antonio News, the driver was traveling east on Interstate 40 when his trailer started lifting off of the interstate because of a severe crosswind. The driver, 34-year-old Singhi Bahadur, I have no clue how to pronounce it, I thought my name was bad, attempted to right the rig, but instead skidded into the center median and overturned onto the left side of the truck, driver's side. He was partially ejected in the wreck and was pronounced dead at the scene. No further information had been released, but he was partially ejected, meaning nicely he was hanging out the window. And the truck probably crushed him. That's just my thought. Not, they did not say that in the article, but that's just my thought. If he's partially ejected, you could leave it up to your own thinking on this. And this next story is dozens of drivers of trucks sidelined in Wyoming during their I-90 blitz. This happened the week of April 19th, or the days of April 19th through the 20th along I-90 from Montana to Minnesota, including South Dakota and Wyoming. In the state of Wyoming, troopers conducted 145 commercial vehicle inspections, with 15 drivers being placed out of service and 51 vehicles being placed out of service. And if you're watching the video, as you could see, this is their scales. That is a mobile scale. It isn't the kind that you set on the ground and you need two guys like a how can I say it, a loading dock type of scale where it's like just a small platform scale. This you see behind the officers, it has wheels on it. They collapse it all up and flip it over, and there you go. They got the scales that they could set up anywhere they want. They also performed their performance brake tester, which that's what this is. Not only is it a scale, but it's also a brake tester. It was deployed and processed 45 vehicles, with 3 of those 45 failing their brake performance. A total of 330 brakes were checked and 38 failed the test. During that 2-day enforcement, 8 passenger vehicles were stopped for driving erratically around semis. Wyoming Highway Patrol says one of the motorists was drunk, was intoxicated. And up next, here's another picture of this being in use, how you roll up on top of it, and that it checks, all of your brakes. So beware when you're going across Wyoming that this is what they're doing now, a mobile brake checker. Now, what in the next story, debris from a too tall load sends a motorist to the hospital. This happened around 11:30 in the morning, Hollywood, Florida, around April 25th. According to the local news, a semi-truck hauling an excavator in northbound lanes of the Florida Turnpike struck the Sheridan Street overpass, knocking debris from the bridge. The debris then struck a car traveling along the highway. A passenger in the car was then transported to a nearby hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The center and right lane of the northbound side of the turnpike were shut down for a time to clear the debris, but traffic was flowing in the left lane. And no details have been released on this, but they did take out a pretty good-sized chunk of concrete when they did hit that bridge. And in this story, a suspect is dead and a police officer was wounded in a shooting at an Oregon truck stop. This happened April 25th, around 6:15 in the morning. The local sheriff's office was called to the Flying J outside of Aurora, Oregon, for a report of a wanted person spotted at the location. When police arrived, the suspect was barricaded inside of a vehicle at the truck stop. The SWAT team was called in to assist. According to SWAT, quote, during the incident, there was an officer involved in the shooting. One law enforcement officer was injured and taken to an area hospital for treatment. Their condition was not available at the time of the writing of this article, which is back in April. Hopefully the officer is okay. I don't like to see anybody being shot or injured or even killed. The suspect was also injured during the incident. Emergency medical aid was provided at the scene, but the suspect did not survive.